Hey everybody, this is Karen from So Creative, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I make half square triangles. So there are many different ways to make half square triangles, and I want to go over some of the options for you and tell you why I have chosen the technique that I have chosen. First of all, when you look at magazines, a lot of times they will tell you to take squares and cut them in half diagonally. So that's what I did here. Here are two different squares cut in half diagonally. Then you're going to just put the pieces right sides together and you're going to sew your seam. So the reason I do not like this method is because I am sewing on bias here and it can stretch. So unless you are used to sewing on bias, I would not use this technique. Okay, technique number 2. You could take a larger square and sew all the way around, and then you would cut on the drawn lines and you would have a half square triangle. If we did it like this so that you can see, we'd have a seam here, we'd open it up, if I can get it to open, there we go, and we'd have half square triangles. But once again, now this is bias. And when I go to put my blocks together, I don't really want to be dealing with bias edges. So that one's out. We could take our fabric and draw a line down the middle and sew on either side of the line and then cut right on that drawn line, and we would have nice half square triangles. But in this case, in order to be really accurate, you would probably want to come back in with a tucker trimmer or some sort of trim tool that gives you a diagonal line so that you can make sure that your squares are really square. Because when you draw on fabric, it often moves. This is the way that I did it 30 years ago when I first started quilting. We drew lines on fabric, and then somebody got really smart and they created triangle paper. So this is triangles on a roll, which is my absolute favorite way to do it because I get very accurate half square triangles. So the way you do it with triangles on a roll, and my favorite technique, is to put the darker fabric on the top. You're going to put your fabrics right sides together. You're going to put pins in your paper when you put your paper on top of the dark. And then you're going to sew on all of the dashed lines. There are dashed lines and there are solid lines. And the great thing about triangles on a roll is that you can just keep following the lines or not, but staying on the dashed lines and going all the way around continuously. There are other products on the market. One is called Thangles, but Thangles has the lines going this way, and they don't connect. And I love being able to do continuous stitching. Now, with this technique, you want to make sure that your stitch length is a little bit tighter. So you want more stitches per inch because you're going to have to pull off that paper later on, and you don't want to have a problem when you pull the paper. So once I've done all of my stitching, and you can see it's done here, you can see it on the back, I hit it all with an iron to make sure that it lays really flat, and then I take it to my cutting mat and I'm going to cut right on every single solid line. So I like to cut away the outside edges first, and then I cut the squares, and then I cut the triangles. So once I have those, here's a sample. Then I'm going to take them to my ironing board, and I am going to fold the paper over so that I am actually folding the paper here. It's going to make it easier for me when I go to pull that paper. So I fold it like that, and because my darkest fabric is on the top, I am automatically ironing to the dark, which is perfect. Then I'm going to pull the paper. Now, because I have left the paper in at this point, I can see these little bunny ears, which I can cut off now so that they don't get in the way later. And I have kept my half square triangle really square because the paper has helped me to keep it square. So now I'm going to pull that paper, and what I do is I stick my fingernail, my thumbnail, right in the middle of the skinny part, and I pull from the center out. And then this piece should theoretically just pop off. Okay, now I bring it back to my ironing mat, and I'm going to use my Easy Press pen, push down, get a little bead of liquid going on that seam, push down again, and iron it to the dark. And it's going to stay flat forever. That is how I do my half square triangles. Now, if you're doing the mystery with us, and of course this is being filmed in early 2025, I don't know when you're going to be watching this on YouTube, but if you're doing the mystery, you're going to want to make your half square triangles using your background fabric and your focus fabric. And I would recommend that you make at least 20 of them because we don't know what design you're going to want to do, but 20 is a good start. So now you know my favorite technique. We're using 4-inch finished half square triangles. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to type them and I'll answer you. Thanks for watching.